What's up guys, Ryan here from Mud Gunner. Today I'm going to be telling you how to disassemble the Q Honey Badger. This is a 300 blackout. This one is the suppressed SBR and it looks like a standard AR-15, but they're kind of unique and they disassemble and reassemble in a very particular way. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that today. So specifically with the Honey Badger, it has its own stock system, and what that means is it also has its own buffer and spring in there, and it's kind of unique how it comes apart and together. So there's no retaining pin for the buffer or spring in here, so when you pop these pins on the lower, the whole thing will separate, and you kind of have to do it simultaneously. So I'm going to pop both of the takedown pins at the same time, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the gun together while I separate them, as best as I can at least. So I'm going to hold the gun together, and then the main thing is your bolt catch and bolt release. It's kind of in like a little pocket in there, so you kind of have to lift the upper out from it. So I'm going to lift it straight up and kind of forward, which I'm trying to do in front of this camera, but there we go. So you see, weird buffer and spring. It's a very tiny spring, but this gun runs extremely well with this setup, and I mainly use this as a suppressed subsonic gun. But that is the main difference between this and a standard AR. And you can see it's a little grimy in there. I need to clean this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe it down and show you guys kind of just how I take care of this thing. But it's not terrible, but suppressed 300 blackout, it gets grimy and like it looks like sand. That is the easiest way to describe it. Is like a suppressed 5.56, it gets like slick on there, but this just gets gritty from all the grains from the 300 blackout gunpowder. It's just weird. But look at how gritty that looks in there. But just figured I'd show you guys, like, it's getting pretty filled up in there. Now this gun still runs flawlessly, but I try to take care of it and clean it as much as I can. So before I take the bolt apart, I'm gonna like wipe it down because it's really gritty. I just use M-Pro 7, I'll spray it on a patch, and then we'll just wipe the bulk of this off. And you see, it cleans up very nicely. I would say this is about 50 to 100 rounds, and I know that's not a lot of ammo, but just when you're firing subsonic suppressed 300 blackout, I recommend a higher maintenance cleaning schedule than like a suppressed 5.56. Suppressed 5.56, I just dump oil in and it's basically good to go. But this, since it just gets so gritty in there, I really do like to try to clean these often. But I don't really have any feeding issues with the Honey Badger at all. I recently got a SIG LVAW, or the SIG Rattler, suppressed, and with the same ammo, which is SMB 200 grain subsonic, I am getting like failure to chambers within 20 rounds of shooting that ammo through the Rattler, but I don't have that issue at all with the Honey Badger. I would say I've probably gone about 200 to 300 rounds with the Honey Badger between cleanings, and it never failed to chamber or anything. So with the Rattler, within one mag, it'll start jamming basically, or not even jamming. It's a failure to chamber the first round. Once the first round gets chambered, it'll shoot and it'll chamber the next round. It's just manually chambering the first round tends to have issues, but Honey Badger, I haven't had that problem yet. But I'm just trying to maintain it, and I'm going to do a comparison video on them soon. If you're unfamiliar with how to take apart an AR-15 bolt, I'm going to show you right now. This is just a standard AR-15 bolt. I'm going to use this pin right here to kind of take your firing pin retaining pin out. So this retains your firing pin. So when you pull this out, you can just tap and your firing pin will come out. And then your firing pin holds your cam pin. So when you push the bolt back, turn it to the side, and then you can take this out, which mine's a little stuck right this second. And then once you take the cam pin out, your bolt can come out the front. Now with ARs, I take it one step further, and I take the extractor off because, again, it is chunky in there, if it'll focus. It is a little chunky and gritty in there, so I like to take the extractor off, which use the same pin, push it through. You can even use your firing pin for this if you don't have this pin, but you can use your firing pin and you can push this out. And it only goes so far, but you'll just have to pinch this and pull. So don't lose that pin. The gun will not function without it. And then extractor comes off. And yeah, just gritty in there, but that is the entire disassembly of the Honey Badger. Like, I guess internally, I can take the can off because I'm going to take the can off to clean the barrel. With this, you can use a socket set to take it apart, but I've never needed to use a socket. I've always been able to just use my hands and manually unscrew it. And this retains 0, this stays locked on while you're shooting. It has never backed off on me during shooting, which is amazing. And I've had this gun since 2018, so I would say it's very well built for me, and I've had 0 issues with this gun. But it's a direct screw-on suppressor, so there's no muzzle brake in there. It is just the threaded barrel, the threaded tapered barrel specifically, so the taper is what allows it to seal properly. And you can take these rails off very easily. There's a little turnbuckle under here, under my handguard wrap. If you unscrew that, the entire rail will come off the front. But just the way I have this set up, I don't need to do that, so I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave the rail on, but I'll be able to clean the barrel from inside. But yeah, I'm going to just give this gun a quick wipe down, and I'll show you reassembly. All right, so I got the entire gun clean. Took me a little bit, but she's as good as new. And now I'm going to put it back together for you guys. And for the most part, it is just like a standard AR-15, but the biggest difference would be the buffer system. So again, this does not have a buffer retaining pin right here like in the normal AR-15, so it's just kind of free hanging when you're shooting, which is kind of crazy, but it works very well. So let me get it back together for you. We're going to start with the bolt, and if it doesn't focus as well, I'm sorry, but so we're going to put the bolt back together. So I got my extractor right here, stick it in the bolt, and then I have this tiny retaining pin, so push that in there. So now that's together. And then I am using this ALG Go Juice, so this is basically like Geisley's sister company, and this is what I'm going to be using to oil this gun today because I went shooting today and we had to bust this one open. Just a quick little way to add oil, especially when you're out on the range. So slides in there. And then we got our cam pin right here. Once we got that in, we're going to put some in here. That way it's nice and lubricated while it's moving. So, feels good. Sorry if it's going out of focus, but firing pin. Just put a little bit on there. So push it all the way in, can pull the bolt forward, and then now we have the firing pin, retaining pin right here. These are always fun to put in if they're bent like this. So they just get bent from fire, but that went in perfectly. And now your bolt carrier group is back together. So I'm gonna put this upper together real fast. First up, I'm gonna put the can back on. And again, it's a direct thread suppressor, so it just screws right in there. And what's nice with this is it lines up pretty nice with my Surefire Vampire right here. It's going, going, going. There we go. Hand tight is all you need. And I've done a lot of videos of this gun, but I'm gonna be doing another one here soon because this is now my main night vision gun. And I got the Steiner D-Ball i2, the Surefire Vampire, and then we got this Unity Taps, which uses both of them at the same time, which is pretty nice. But yeah, so there's that. Got the fancy Radiant charging handle here. Put some Go Juice on this. I can't see if it's going. Yeah, it's going. But nice and slick. Stick that in the upper. And then we're just gonna lather the bolt carrier group. Again, she's gonna be a dirty girl once we're shooting her again, but she will run smooth. So I think that's good. I see it. She gooey. So just slide this up in here. So uppers back together. And then this, again, just tiny little spring. I don't even know if it's worth putting oil on there. I'm just gonna like kind of wipe it with this, but yeah, it's crazy how smooth this thing runs, but it runs really good. All right, I'm gonna try my best to show this on camera for you guys, but there's a little rod in here that holds your spring. Gotta stand over the camera to do this. So basically, you're gonna line up your bolt right there. So this buffer goes in the back of your bolt. And then I would say the easiest way is if you can pinch as much of the spring into the receiver as you can. And then right there, pops in place. I'm gonna push this pin and then that pin. And now I have to double check and make sure you guys saw that because I wasn't paying attention to my camera. But if it worked, that's how it goes. And it is slick like butter. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and this will be back on the channel here soon. We cannot forget the fancy sling. This is a Wells Made Co. sling. I don't know what their exact pattern for this is, but it's like an aloha pattern, and I dig it. So, thank you guys for watching.